Homework 6, section 3.4, logical arguments, video 11. We're going to take a look at number 5 in the homework for section 3.4. Now, I may have to go back and forth between the computer and the board. Okay. So, I've got number 5 set up already. So let's take a look at it. Write the argument in symbols. Then decide whether the argument is valid by using the common forms of valid arguments and fallacies. And the argument is, if I get an A in this class, I will do a dance. That's a conditional. The word then is missing, but it's implied. So in other words, if I get an A in this class, then I will do a dance. Second premise, I did a dance. Therefore, I got an A in this class. Just think instinctively whether or not that's a valid argument. Do you think you can conclude that you got an A in the class just because you did a dance? Or might there be another reason why you did a dance? Instinctively, I think this one is, well, we'll hold on to that for a minute. All right, so let's answer the first question. Let P be the statement, I get an A in this class, and Q be the statement, I will do a dance. In symbolic form, this argument is, well, this isn't quite what I was expecting, because what I was expecting was this. Grab my marker. I will be going back and forth between the screen and the board. P is, I will get an A in this class, and Q is, I will do a dance. And so the first statement is P, quit focusing on my finger, P pointing to Q. So over here, I'm going to write P pointing to Q. So there's our first premise. Our second premise was I did a dance. That is statement Q. So our second premise is Q. Now, what conclusion are we drawing? I got an A in this class. That is statement P. So our conclusion is P. Now, I already recognize this is one of our common argument forms. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you wrote them down from video 9, you might want to go compare because it matches one of them exactly. But in the homework, they're asking you to write the argument in symbolic form. And if you'll notice in this box, they're not giving me 3 lines in which to type those 3 things. So what I think they're actually asking for here is the implication that you would set up. So let's go to the board and remember how to write the implication. Remember that an implication for an argument is a statement of the form premise 1, conjunction, premise 2, pointing to conclusion. I use the double-lined arrow, but apparently, well, that's the worst double-lined arrow I've drawn in quite a while. Let's try this again. 2 lines and then an arrowhead. That's better. I think they're asking us to write that. I really wish they would have said write the implication. Actually, let's try typing this. No, if they wanted to type that, they would give you 3 rows of lines to write stuff in. So I'm pretty sure that they're asking for the implication, the conjunction of the premises pointing to the conclusion. So in this problem, the first premise is P pointing to Q. So P pointing to Q, and because it's a compound statement, I'll put it in parentheses. Conjunction, second premise, which was Q. Sorry, I need to look at the board and not through my phone. All of that pointing to the conclusion, which was P. So I think what they want us to type is this mess. So let's go back and try to type it. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with the implication. Where's the pointer? There it is. We're going to start with the implication, the conditional. On the right side of it, I'm just turning around, was P. On the left side of it was a giant set of parentheses. And inside of that was the conjunction. On the right side of the conjunction was Q. On the left side of the conjunction was another set of parentheses with P pointing to Q. Oops, hold on. Conditional, P pointing to Q. Again, I really wish it would have said the implication is, because that's what you call this mess that I just set up. Not sure what this little icon on my phone is popping up, but I'm assuming it's recording okay. Let's check to see if that's what they wanted. Yeah, it is. If you're not sure if it's what they wanted, you can always go up here and click guided solution, but then you'll have to do a different problem. I would do show an example, and it will give an example of how they want the answer to look. And again, they didn't want the giant parentheses, but they accepted it. Frankly, I think it's better with the giant parentheses. Let's go down to part 2. This argument is based on the blank and is blank. This should be a long list. Yep. Here's all 7 laws and fallacies. By the way, did you figure out which one this was? I'll give you a hint. It's a fallacy. If you were to switch the Q and the P, it would be valid, but that would be taking the converse. If you switch the Q and the P on the top, it would be the law of detachment. But you can't just form the converse. This is the fallacy of the converse. Fallacy. Come on, focus. Fallacy of the converse. And fallacies are invalid. Now, if you were, and by the way, it's correct. If you were just simply trying to answer the last part without doing it symbolically, then we could have written this in words. Antecedent pointing to consequent. The second premise is the consequent. The conclusion is the antecedent. So if you go back and look at the word versions of the common argument forms, antecedent pointed to consequent, consequent, therefore antecedent, is the fallacy of the converse. Let me turn this around. Well, that's the end of the videos for this section. And this is the last section that will be on your first test. I'm going to upload a list of all the valid and invalid argument forms, and it will be linked in the module. So you'll be able to find it easily. And between now and Friday, I'm going to assemble something for you to practice to get ready for your test. Your test over logic, your test over homeworks 3, 4, 5, and 6 will be available starting this Friday, and you will have 1 week to do it. You will be able to use any notes that you want. You can use your book as well. The only thing that I will ask you to do is to not get help from other people, either live or online. I will have an honor code for you to sign, promising that you're not going to do this. I don't know how enforceable it will be. I take that back. It will be enforceable, but how am I going to catch you if you do? I'm taking you on your word that you will use your notes and use your books. I'm letting you do that, but not use each other for help on this test. By signing the honor code, you're basically saying, if I do find evidence that you were colluding with somebody, I have the right to follow through with some sort of punishment, which would probably just be a 0 on the test. So I'm going to ask you on your word to not get help from each other. However, you may use any and all notes and books that you feel like. I'll post details for it later this week. Y'all stay safe.